Dead as a Doornail, Book 6 of the Stan Kraychik Mysteries. Author, Grant Michaels. Publisher, St. Martin's Press, New York. Narrator, Eric Aust. Chapter 25. First thing next morning, I go to the police headquarters to see Lieutenant Branco. I'm still not convinced that Thorne is guilty. Besides, with all the hustle and bustle over Myron and Chip's Apache dance yesterday, and then the ensuing hours spent listening to the interview tapes, I never got a chance to tell Branco about Selina Hightower's chummy relations with the Gardenia clan. And since her husband, Thorne, implied that she was at Tim Chagnossi's place sometime the morning he was killed, I'm certain that Selina Hightower is just as involved with Tim's death as Thorne is. More so, probably, with her connection to the Gardenias. Speaking of which, so is Branco now. At least according to Benji's hairnet update last night. As I enter the station, I feel as though I'm armed with state's evidence. On the way up to Branco's office, I pass Tina at her desk outside the interview rooms. When she sees me, she averts her gaze. Has Branco found out about the tape she copied for me? I go to her desk and tell her I tried that recipe for broiled pigeon last night. I did just what you told me, I say, but somehow I burned the whole thing to a crisp. Couldn't even tell what it started out as. Oh, that's too bad, she says coolly. I tell her I'm on my way to see Branco. She says, he's not upstairs. He's down here. She nods her head toward the locked door that leads to the soundproof interview rooms. What's he got in there? I shouldn't be telling you, she says. Why not? Stanny, I don't want to get in trouble. What trouble? I say. You're just talking to me. There's no law against that. But it's against procedure. Tina, I say, I'm not someone off the street. You know me. I was at the academy with you. Doesn't that count for something? Maybe. She says, come on, I say. We're on the same side. Just tell me who Branco is talking to. Tina says, Selina Hightower. Good timing. Just the girl I want to tell him about. I ask, do you know what's up? Tina says, the lab boys found her fingerprints all over Tim Chagnossi's place. She was supposed to be checking up on the plumbing, but her prints were everywhere but the kitchen and the bathroom. I say, you never know where those damn pipes are going to lead you. And things are looking up for my case against Selina. Suddenly, Tina makes a minuscule shake of her head, wanting me to shut up. Moments later, Selina Hightower emerges from the locked corridor where the interview rooms are. She's escorted by two cops, and she's not so giggly and chattily as after her first date with Branco that time in his office. She sees me and just about spits at me. Blabbermouth! Whatever happened to the pretty South End realtor? The cops lead her away. Then Branco emerges from the corridor. Oh, you again, he says. I have something on that woman, Lieutenant, the one who just left. Has Branco registered the fact that I'm standing near Tina's desk? Would he believe that we are simply old-school chums from the police academy? Branco says, I can give you a minute, no more. He takes me into one of the interview rooms. We sit down. It's obviously not official, since there are no other cops in there with us, and Branco doesn't turn on the recorder. Go ahead, he says. I tell him I talked to Selina Hightower yesterday, and it turns out she is very well connected to Gardenia & Sons Construction Company. And, says Branco, and she just about admitted that they're involved with Tim Chagnossi's death. She said this to you? In so many words. How many words? Said Branco. I fumble. Branco says, Stan, I've got work to do, and you have a vacation today. I don't know where you're getting your information or even why you're getting it, since I've already told you to stop. But Timmy is connected to Selina, I say, and Selina is connected to the Gardenias. Did you check out her story why she was at Timmy's place 2 days ago? Branco's eyes flash brightly. Yes, I did, he says. But where did you hear about it? Selina told me. Selina Hightower, he says. The same, I say. Tall, brunette, pretty, just walked out of here. You know who I mean now? Branco says, exactly when did she tell you this? Yesterday. Just like that, he says. She told you she was at Tim Chagnossi's place the morning his body was found. Not exactly, I say. She said things that made it obvious she was there. I figure, why question the obvious? Don't you believe me? Branco says, we had one hell of a time wringing the same information out of her just now. The fact that she was at Chignasi's place that morning, and then you come breezing in here telling me you already knew about it. Maybe it's my finely honed interview technique, Lieutenant. It took years at the styling chair, but I'd be glad to offer you a few pointers. I don't need pointers, said Branco. The subject became very cooperative once we confronted her with fingerprint evidence. I don't have that advantages. That's right, says Branco. You don't. So now you know that Selena was at Tim's place and that she's also connected with the Gardenias. So are you going after them? Who? He says. The Gardenias. For what? Says Branco. For Tim's death. It couldn't be Thorne. Thorne? Says Branco. Thorne Hightower, Selena's husband. Aren't you holding him? Who the hell have you been talking to? No one, I say. I assumed it. I don't believe that, he says. You tell me where you got the idea I'm holding Thorne Hightower. You mean you're not? Branco's face is still as though he's posing for some Roman sculptor to catch every perfect detail of his mouth. His nose, his forehead, his chin. But what's to be done about his eyes? You can't capture them in marble. You'd need some kind of rare gem that glitters with an icy, hot, gray-blue light. He takes a deep breath. Then he says, tell you what I'm going to do, Sam. We're going to have it out here, once and for all. Just us two, okay? I don't understand. You will, he says. I'm going to listen to you now, one more time. But that's the end of it. I've been very patient with you. I even took a few risks with you, went out on a limb. Okay. It didn't pay off. So now I think it's time to call an end to it. An end to what? I say. To putting up with you and your antics. I'm doing serious work here, and you'll pardon my French, but you're just screwing around. Now, for old time's sake, I'm willing to listen. I'm even willing to answer you because as far as I'm concerned, when we walk out of this room, it's over. You go your way, I go mine. What am I supposed to say? That breaking up is hard to do. Branco says, now, you tell me everything you know, including your theories. I'm sure there's plenty of those. Then I'll explain to you in detail why you're wrong. Sound fair? So much for the blind eye of justice. First thing, I ask him why Selena Hightower went to Tim Chignasi's place 2 months ago. Branco says, no, Stan, you don't ask, you tell. It's theory, I say. You said you wanted my theories too, so theoretically speaking, why would Selena go to Timmy's place? Branco answers reluctantly as though he'd rather fight with me personally, which is a guaranteed win for him. She stated that Tim Chignasi's reported an emergency plumbing situation, that he had taken care of himself. She went to his place to make sure the repairs had actually been made, since he was claiming a rebate on his rent. But she made the whole thing up. That's right, says Branco. His anger has dissipated already. Maybe the way to his heart is to second-guess him, but with correct answers only. She did make it up, and why do you think she did that? I say, to give herself a reason to get in there. For what? Timmy must have had something she wanted. Right again, says Branco. What do you think it was? Information of some kind. I think Selena found her client list among Tim's papers, which means that's where she was looking, not at the plumbing. Branco says, this is very good, Stan. It's odd how you know so much. I could almost swear you were listening to the interview just now. I wasn't. I'll verify that, says the cop. But what you suspect here is exactly what Selena Hightower just admitted to. I told you I talked to her yesterday. Branco goes on. She says she needed to see some contracting papers for one of her clients and that it was very urgent, very critical. There was some big money hanging on it. Then why didn't she ask him to give them to her? Because she couldn't find him, says Branco. Because he was dead, I say. And Selena. And, interrupts Branco, since Miss Hightower had a very close and personal friendship with young Chignasi, she knew he wouldn't mind her going to his place, especially if he understood the urgency of the situation. Friendly, I say. She's his landlord. How friendly can they be? Branco says, don't you have a close friend like that? Someone you trust implicitly with every aspect of your life? Do I? Is it Miss Albright close to you? Nicole, I say. She's like my big sister, but Tim and Selena were enemies, not friends. According to who? Says Branco. According to Selena Hightower, at least when she's talking to me. Branco says, that's now how I interpret her statement. I say, was it while Selena was looking for those documents at Timmy's that she found the photos taken by her husband? Branco squints his eyes. Which one of your little helpers told you that? Am I right? Branco says, I don't know what you've been up to, Stan, but none of that matters now. The case is closed. Closed? Branco nods. I just got the preliminary lab reports this morning. From all indications, Tim Chignasi's death was an accident. An accident? With all those suspects? Branco's eyes burn. There are no suspects, not anymore. It was an accident. We've got Selena, we've got Thorne, we've got Myron. Who is we? Says Branco. What about that Angie girl? Where is she? Who? Says Branco. That hairstylist who disappeared. She can tell you that Selena and Timmy were enemies. Have you got any news on finding her? Why should I? I tell him, because Angie was Tim's friend, and she's been missing since yesterday. Branco looks at his watch. Well, Stan, your minute is long up. But you said we were going to have it out. You can't call time on me now. Branco says, I can do whatever the hell I want with you. Whoa, time out. Lieutenant, Tim Chignasi's death was not an accident. Take Selena. I mean, her perfume is still polluting the air in here. So why not start with her? She had both motive and opportunity to kill Tim. If she heard his answering machine the other morning, she knew he'd be at my house waiting for me. So it was easy enough to go there and kill him. But she has no motive, says Branco. She's paying back the gardenias. The gardenias, says Branco. The construction people. I keep trying to tell you, they are key players in this case. I look into Branco's eyes. I want to tell him what Benji told me last night about the Branco name being newly joined to the Gardenia name. I want to ask him, are you now linked to those construction people? Is that why you don't want to talk about them? But I can't do it. Branco has put up some kind of barrier that won't let me say it. Instead, I remind him that Selena arranged the contract at the SCCA site where the Gardenia's crown prince, Tony, was killed. And even before that, Selena Hightower had long-standing business ties to them. So, says the cop, what does any of this have to do with Tim Chignasi? She was trying to pay back the Gardenias for a deal that went sour. I'm missing a connection here, Stan. Selena killed Timmy to pay back the Gardenias for Tony's death, okay? Jesus, are you off base? Lieutenant, that was her hair on Timmy's collar. Well, was it? Says the cop. How do you know that? Because it was dyed. Is that so? Says Branco. And how do you know that? By looking at it. I am an expert colorist. Branco says, you didn't pick it up, did you? Handle it? Move it? I know better than that. Do you? Says the cop. Well, Stan, I've got bad news for you. That hair is not dyed. It's from a dog, a Portuguese water dog. Are you sure? I say. The lab is 100% certain. I guess my color perception is slipping. Branco says, from where I sit, that's not the only thing. And from where I sit, Selena Hightower still has the best motive for killing Tim Chignasi. Stan, if Chignasi's death was homicide, we have more evidence against the woman's husband than we do on her. And that's exactly how they planned it. Planned what? Says Branco. You know about Thorne's drug rap. Branco rolls his eyes heavenward. Go on. He took that rap from Selena. You probably only know this, but she's the one who was really dealing the stuff. Thorne took the rap because Selena's realty business was on a roll and he was out of work. That's why she set him up in that store as payment for serving time for her. That's the foundation of their marriage. She does the deed and he takes the rap. And this is the ultimate crime. Murder 1. Branco is shaking his head. Suddenly he looks dismally tired. You know what I think, he says. I think you have too much time on your hands. But it's all true. Who told you this? I hesitate, then tell him. Myron Kratz. Kratz, says Branco. The guy who filed that bogus assault charge? Bogus, I say. He had a bloody nose. Branco stifles a laugh. It's very easy to make your nose bleed, especially if your head is in the clouds. Well, I know something Myron Kratz didn't tell me. Branco looks at me like, who cares? I say, there's going to be a new name added to all those big construction trucks that are driving all over town. Which ones? Says Branco. The ones that say Gardenia and Sons on them? Gee, there's that name again. So what? Says Branco. I heard about an official change of name for Gardenia and Sons Construction Company. It's going to happen any day now. Branco's gray eyes have gone black. There's a lot of people named Branco in this town. I say, there's a lot of people named Gardenia too, he says coldly. The Gardenia family has no connection to this case. No connection, I say. They hate gay people ever since Tony Gardenia's death. Tim Chignassi was gay. The Gardenias believe he caused Tony's death. On top of that, Selena Hightower has close business ties to them. And you sit there and say there's no connection. Branco says, the business matters of that family are no place for someone like you to be messing about. Of course you'll defend them now that you're on their side of the door. It's no wonder you're shielding Selena Hightower too. She's almost part of the family. Branco slams his two fists on the table. I don't have to sit here and listen to you shoot your mouth off. I'm warning you, Stan, any further interference on your part could be deemed an obstruction of justice. For what? I say. An accidental death? If I'm an obstruction, Lieutenant, then maybe the Boston police need a laxative. If you don't shut up, Stan, I'm going to file a complaint against you. What am I doing against the law? You're courting a libel suit, that's what. I'm just voicing an opinion that happens to be based on fact. Branco says, now get this straight, okay? I'll say it in plain English, just in case your mind wanders. Your little pal, Tim Chignassi, died of an accident. No, he didn't. He fell and broke his neck. If he did, he was dead before he fell down. Why won't you believe the facts? Show them to me, I say. Let me see the autopsy report. No way, says Branco. Now, I'm telling you for the last time, you're not needed here. Got it? Sure, I say. That's simple enough, even for me. Branco says, I want you out of town. Take that vacation. Duly noted. And Stan, would you do me one last favor? You mean for old time's sake? Don't make me get a restraining order on you, okay? I look Branco straight in the eyes and says, I thought those were for estranged lovers. Branco stands up. Maybe I went too far on that one. I'll call an escort for you, he says. I start backing out of the interview room. I can find my way. Just don't stop to chattel on the way. It's been swell, I say. He says nothing. Are these really our last words to each other? Will my final moments with the cop be those of anger and disillusionment? Once I'm outside, the station things get worse. No matter how much I think it through logically, I sense that Vito Branco, upholder of truth, justice, and the American way, is lying. I'm sure he's blocking the case because he's now part of the Gardenia mob that killed Tim Chignassi. The guy is gilded in guilt, and no matter how handsomely he carries the mantle of nepotism and corruption, I must expose him in this desecration of justice. I shall report the whole matter to the police commissioner. Though with my luck, he'll be a Gardenia too, and I'll be slapped in irons. So maybe I should alert the media instead. Even hire a ghostwriter for the story. I can see the headline now. Fag-baiting cop exposed by Rookie Dick. I'll be on all the talk shows, surrounded by photo blow-ups of Branco hanging his head in shame. People will applaud my convictions. It will be a great day for sissies everywhere, for a gay hairdresser will have vanquished a corrupt cop, and once Branco has atoned for his crimes, I shall exercise tender mercy and let him go free. A Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. To offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.